I've gone live a lot today. I'm actually working on breaking a world record. I'm trying to do as much speaking and teaching as I can each and every day. I'm trying to achieve the same thing I've accomplished with my running and my training, which I'm proud of myself. I've done excellent in, and I've really enjoyed it. And now I'm trying to do it in this area, and it's challenging. I like a challenge, and it basically gives me motivation to help more people. It's one of the ways that I motivate myself to help more people. So I want to talk about bullying and share some of my story, or a lot of my stories, and this is another explanation in how I can help people and share more about my story, values, and how you can change your life with these values, with these experiences, and with these tools that I've learned. And again, I'm realizing more and more that there's a lot more to share with my story. There's a lot of experiences that I've had that many other people have also had, but they might be scared to talk about. And if I talk about it, it will give them more courage to talk about it and connect on things and take these lessons. So standing up to bullies. So I've been doing a lot of thinking lately and processing, which has been great. Gratitude. Right now, work with a client today, and the origin of where I got my courage from to start a business, to work with people, to do a live stream right now. Most of the origin of this come from, I got bullied badly growing up. I got bullied in my household by my dad. I got bullied at school. I got bullied around my area, and the bullying went on for quite a long time until I started to stand up to bullying, and that's kind of what I want to come to. So as fear is very prevalent, it's probably the biggest human disease known to man and woman. It challenges all of us, and courage is the antidote, the solution, faith. So for me, my whole thought process when I was younger and thinking about it, I could never quite understand why someone would bully someone who's being a nice person and hasn't done anything wrong. This is like my childhood sort of thought process, because growing up, obviously, a lot of nice family members, and you meet people and they're really kind, and you can trust them, and they're not manipulative, they're not nasty, and they don't bully you, and you don't get that bad feeling around them. So I experienced that from a young age, and I loved that. That gave me a lot of good life experiences. But obviously, when you start to interact with more people, in your family, at school, around your area, and you come into contact with people that are different, and it's a shock. So basically, you kind of experience good and evil through people. And when you're kind of the way I was, and I'm pretty certain all my clients are like that, many of you, when you're quite naive and sensitive, and you're a good person, and you wouldn't do that to someone. It's not in your heart to do that, especially not for no reason. It's a shock to the system, especially when you're a sensitive person, which I was and still am, because it's so different to someone being nice and kind and trustworthy. It's such a different energy going from that sort of energy, that atmosphere, to someone that is just nasty and aggressive and hitting you or threatening you or making fun of you, laughing at you or shaming you. That level of confrontation for a young person, a child, for me especially, was absolutely terrifying. It put me into a state of actually hopelessness and absolute terror and fear and shame and danger and threat and all those feelings that come with it. So having experienced that feeling so many times and being afraid of it again and again, having to go to school and be thinking, I really don't want to go through this again, because when you're in a state of fear, when someone's bullying you, it could be the case, but in most cases, you're not going to die. But when you're that frightened, the way I was when I was younger, I thought I was going to die. You think the person's going to kill you. You're scared about that, and the emotions that come up, the terror that it triggers in you, your emotions kind of convince you that I'm going to die right now, and I don't want to die. Survival kicks in, of course, human nature, and obviously as a young kid who's not an adult yet, hasn't got an adult mind, and is still trying to find their way in the world, you're scared to death, and you feel like you're helpless, especially when you don't have the courage to, which I didn't, and I wouldn't have done it back then. It was considered kind of like grassing, not telling the teacher. So I just hope that I just hoped that the bully would stop and they would leave and those feelings would go away. So I went through a lot of that growing up, a lot of bullying and being put into a state of fight or flight, shame, embarrassment, hating myself for allowing someone to do that, feeling that you've been abused, exploited, humiliated, all that comes with being bullying, those feelings. I went through all those feelings as a kid and recognized that these feelings make me feel ashamed and helpless. And this is wrong, there's a feeling that this is evil, what they're doing, like this is not right. My whole, human instinct, my faith tells me that this is evil. I've not done anything wrong. Why are they doing this to me? This is evil. So, being in that state of fear and feeling helpless and feeling that I can't stand up for myself. I'm too scared. I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do. All I can do is just pray and hope that they have mercy on me and they don't hit me. And not just the hitting. I was scared that they would hit me, and that did happen. But it's more the whole intimidation. It's the whole sort of emotional terror that the bully brings up in you, and it feels so personal. When you're going through it, you're like, why is this happening to me? You feel alone. You feel that no one else is going through this, even though that's not true. But you feel like that when you're younger, and I felt like that. Like, why is no one doing anything about this? You're almost feeling like, again, it's not true, but you're feeling it like people are heartless. How comes no one's helping me? This is evil. I'm innocent. What is going on here? No one's doing anything about it, and I've not done anything wrong. Why does this keep happening to me again and again? It seems to be a pattern where people keep bullying me, and it's almost like I've got a sign on my head saying, I'm a victim, bully me, etc. So going through that experience again and again and again, and then finally getting to breaking point where the pain is so unbearable and the fear is so debilitating, I finally find the strength to say that you know what, I'm just going to stand up for myself now. I can't do it anymore. And if they kill me, they kill me. But they might as well kill me, because me not doing anything, I'm just as good as dead. I'm living, but I just feel dead. And that's when I started to find this courage within myself that I didn't know I had. I didn't know how to find it. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't explain it. It felt like it wasn't me. And in those moments, in those desperate situations, which literally on some accounts were life and death, where there wasn't always people around to protect me. The bullies were smart. They'd do it when the teachers were out of the room, or certain parts of the playground or the school. They'd catch you, put you against the wall, and you're like, oh, there's no one around. I'm vulnerable. I can't do anything. So I was in a lot of those situations growing up. And as I said, growing up, when I was younger, my dad bullied me a lot and put me in those situations where, I'm in a room with my dad, he's bullying me, no one's around, and I'm feeling terrified, and I can't do anything. I haven't got the strength to fight back and stand up for myself. So I went through that at home with my dad and at school and around the area as well. I grew up in an area where, obviously nice things, but also gangs, crime. So it happened to me so many times in those situations, and every single time it made me feel the same way, petrified. A lot of the times I'd freeze up. I'd be like, I couldn't move, I couldn't speak back. I didn't even want to, continue to make eye contact, because that's how frightened I was. I mean, I couldn't get any more frightened. So fight or flight, freezing up, scared, ashamed, putting my head down, being beaten down. That happened by my dad done that. I had groups of people do that in school. I had gangs. Sometimes it was one-on-one. It was a particular guy around my area that kept doing it to me. These things went on for a long time, and they broke me down, and they made me insecure, afraid, paranoid, and it contributed to me having mental health problems. We use the word anxiety, but I later on developed severe mental health problems as a result of the damage that the bullying done, and not really knowing how to heal myself and come back, and we'll get to that in a second, which I was able to do a lot of. So that state I was in was horrible. Horrible state to be in, really horrible. But here's the good news. Now, I can only speak from my account from, you know, now and what I remember. Even back years ago, I always believed in God from a young age, right? I was a Christian, culturally a Christian. Family were very easygoing. They were never preachy or pushy, which I liked. And, I went to a Catholic school, went church. I wasn't a massive fan of going church all the time because I just felt when I was young, when you're younger, you kind of want to do other things, but I just preferred to pray to God wherever I was when I needed help. Especially when I was getting bullied. And funny enough, I forgot to mention this, and I need to get this out. In those moments where I felt helpless, when I was getting bullied, whether it was by my dad, it was kids at school, sometimes it was the guys and the girls, or it was a teacher. When I was in that place of hopelessness and darkness and abandonment and shame and absolute fear, I didn't have any other choice. I didn't have anyone else to go to because I was broken, I was young, scared. And I would pray to God. I'd pray within silently, please God, please protect me, please I don't want to die. I was that scared as a young kid. And it worked because I'm still alive. And at a certain point, like I said, many, many times in my life, by my dad, by kids at school, kids around the area, there were many times where I couldn't do anything because I didn't have the strength to do it, especially with my dad. Obviously, he's my dad, loves my dad, didn't like what he was doing, was frightened of him, felt helpless, was a young kid, he's a grown man, so I couldn't find the strength. So I just had to let the person bully me until they stopped, went away, and then I had to sit with the shame after, which felt awful, felt actually worse than the bullying itself. So being hit and punched wasn't pleasant, but that wasn't as bad as the person abusing me, insulting me, threatening me, shouting at me, taking my money or spitting at me. When they left and I was on my own, that was the most frightening part. And obviously that was me dealing with what it brought up, and what it brought up was deep shame, loneliness, self-hatred, confusion, injustice, fear, and then, oh my God, please God, what if this happens again to me? Paranoia, uncertainty. It brought all those things up, and I had to be with that. And as a kid, I couldn't cope with it. I didn't understand these things. Obviously, when you're a young kid, or certainly I wasn't taught. No one comes along and teaches you about therapy or triggers, or says that it's normal what you're feeling. Anyone would feel that. So I just felt ashamed that I'm the only one. Why am I feeling all these feelings? I must be a weakling. So I judged myself on top of the bullying. So it's like abusing myself. Then I'm dealing with that, and then obviously I can't relax. So even when the bullying stopped, I'm at school thinking, oh my God, like what if that happens again? Or what if my dad does that again? Or I'm scared to go through the estate because I might see that kid that bullied me the other day, and I don't want to go through that again, so I'm going to go around the back way. So a lot of hiding, in my whole life, a lot of shame because of the fear of going through it again, and actually thinking, see, when you go through a bad experience and then you come out of it, we're only human, you kind of forget. Sometimes your mind exaggerates and says it was worse than it was, or you couldn't handle it, so you forget again, obviously. And if you've been in a near-death experience and you beat it, obviously you've lived to tell the tale, and it can be great to share it, but you don't want to go through it again. It's not something that you really go, yeah, I want to go through that again. Like let's say an analogy that, let's say you swam in the deep ocean with great white sharks, or by accident you got attacked by a shark, and you survived it, which is amazing, right? I've always been fascinated by sharks and terrified by them. So let's say you survived it, a great white shark attack. It's unlikely that you're going to want to go back in again and go through that again. But you might have nightmares and fear and post-traumatic stress because of the trauma that it's caused, and that's what I was going through. These were mini traumas. I was like, I don't want to go through my estate again because, last week I went through there, and, one of the kids on the estate shouted my name and, chased me, got a knife, which happened to me, and said he was going to stab me and threaten me, or the whole group of people were laughing at me, and they made me feel ashamed. So I don't want to go through that again. I'm going to go around a different way of the estate. That didn't make me feel good either, because that made me feel like a coward, like running away and hiding all the time. Unconsciously, it told me that I'm ashamed, I'm a coward. So those things affected me, all these abuse. So like I said, I had to get to a point, I think it definitely started with my dad, where he went too far, and then one day I just had enough and just stood up to him and just said, like, you know, I shouted back at him, or said, like, no, I kind of like went back at him. And then obviously when I went back, he got scared, because that's what happens when you stand up to a bully. Or he might have got more aggressive, or you know, he felt guilty, and then he calmed down and he come to his senses and realized what he was doing was wrong, which he did many times, not all the time though. And then that made me feel like, wow, I've got courage. I thought I was a coward. It's really confusing. Hang on a minute. 1 minute I'm this scared coward that, you know, my dad's bullying me, and I'm letting my dad walk all over me, and it's not right. I'm getting bullied at school, and I feel like such a weakling, and I don't even feel like a man. The next minute, I've gone inside and I've gone deep, and I've prayed to God at the same time for the protection. Because I don't want to hurt people either. I'm really scared of hurting other people. I'm sensitive. That's how scared I am. But I found this strength within me, and when I'm in this place, no one can bully me. No one can bully me. My dad can't bully me. It just can't do it. The energy's too strong. And if they did try and do it, then we're both going to go at it, right? And obviously, I didn't want to hit my dad. That's the last thing I want to do. But I didn't want him to bully me. So when I've stood up to my dad, he stopped doing it. He stopped the bullying. At school, I've stood up to the bullies. They've got scared. Even the most menacing guy in the class got scared. And it was the same with in all situations. So the most many morals of the story is courage. You know, it's how you stand up to fear. But I had to, personally, for me, I had to go through these debilitating, dark places of absolute terror and fear. I think I'm gonna die here. Like, my emotions feel like I'm gonna explode, in order to find the courage, the strength, and then build myself back up, which has been a lifelong process. So when people say, which I really appreciate when it's from a genuine place, when people say things like, I've got a lot of courage, and they admire my honesty, my strength, whether that's helping people or sharing my story, it means a lot to me, because it's true. But I like to give people the real truth of where it come from, and it come from being such an insecure, frightened young kid and a man, and just having no hope, but then finding my faith and courage and going, you know what? And this was my thought process when I was younger, and it's still now, and this is very true. It might sound cheesy coming out. I cannot let evil win. It's wrong. I'm not going to let evil do this to me. I believe in God. I know this is right. I wouldn't do this to someone else. If I did do it, I'd be deeply sorry and wouldn't consciously do it. Can't let this happen anymore. If I'm gonna die, then I'm gonna die. Then I'm ready to die. Ready to die. There's no, like, being here, getting bullied and abused is so painful that I'd rather die fighting than just live another day, but live as a coward and let someone or a group of people do this to me when they're in the wrong. And that's where I derived all my courage from, and that courage has continued even up to 40 years. We don't use the word old on this channel. So that's where my courage comes from. Now, of course, I've always said as well, I've always been honest, even though my dad was the first person in my life that really hurt me and bullied me, you know, obviously I'm going to be honest as I can. My dad also was a good dad in other areas, very good values, and he gave me a lot of courage because he's got a hell of a lot of courage. So, you know, my courage comes from my dad, who's a very brave man. It comes from my faith, but it comes from being bullied and abused and literally beaten down. I'm not talking once or twice. I'm talking, I can't even count how many times I got bullied and absolutely humiliated. So that's where it comes from, you know. And I guess it also comes from growing up, you know, watching superheroes like we all do as a kid. I love Batman, I just love the good guy. I always did, I still do. If there was a film, I'd always want like the bad guy, the evil guy to, you know, I'd always want good to prevail. And that's a good thing. So it just comes from, you know, believing that wrong is wrong, right is right, and evil's not right. And, you know, my whole instincts. So, you know, it's not pretty. It's it's not an easy thing to talk about, but you know, it will help a lot of people. People get to know a bit more about my story, and I really appreciate it. And of course, you can use courage to do good. You can actually use it to help people. And also as well, voice in my head, which I'm going to ignore. The school that I went to, looking back, the truth is, everyone got bullied. Even the bullies got. There was always someone tougher, right? That was just. It wasn't nice. It was a mixed school, and maybe a couple didn't, but most people got bullied. So I got bullied by some kids, but there were kids in my school that got bullied worse than me. I would stick up for them. So I would stick up for them because I feel sorry for them, have compassion, and when I could, I would step in. Obviously, I couldn't always do it because, you know, basically, I was getting some of the guys that bullied me. I was scared of them, and I couldn't beat them physically. But when I could do it, I would, and that always felt really good, you know. And my family brought me up like that. So I think a big reason why I become a teacher and help people because I don't like people bullying people, especially when they've not done anything wrong and they're good people and it's evil. So a lot of it comes from that place and the joy of doing good. You can't beat that feeling of saving the day and helping someone. So for me, being bullied, knowing how the pain that caused and the heartbreak and the sadness and the insecurity, but overcoming it, the joy of overcoming it, and I'm going to get to a good point, I want to end on a good note, and then the joy of helping someone, you know, like so many stories to tell, can't go into all of them now, but I remember that feeling of actually saying, you know what, I'm going to put my life on the line because this kid is getting bullied and I can't watch this. It's making me feel sick. Like, he's a nice person, he's vulnerable. This person at the moment has got a nasty character, he's taking advantage of him, and I'm not having it. I say, hey man, leave him alone, man. Leave him alone. If you put your hands on him, you know, I'm going to deal with you. And then, you know, whatever. So, millions of people around the world go for this. Yeah, so you've gone for it as well, obviously. I knew people would appreciate it. So, there's quite a few more I want to get to. So mentally, when I was getting bullied by my dad, gangs around the area, kids at school, and this has happened over obviously the course of my life. Some happened together. So when I was younger, you know, my dad would be bullying me at home, bullying me a lot socially, physically, violently. Then I'd be going to school and I'd be getting bullied at school. Then I'd be getting bullied around the area, so I'm kind of getting pushed around. But not doing anything about it was actually harder than actually doing it. When I actually stood up for myself, I couldn't believe how easy it was. Isn't that an irony? And I think it's a bit like the analogy people use, which isn't a great analogy, but like, you know, like if I put a gun to your head tomorrow and said that you've got to, you know, save someone or change the world, you would do it because you have to. So it's not easy to go to that place. And it's not easy for me to go to that place now, but that is the ultimate place of courage when you're absolutely terrified and debilitated with fear and shame, and you think you're going to lose your life. You find a strength that you didn't know you had, and you probably never would have found. Only having been pushed to such measures of fear and desperation, was you able to find such courage. So yeah, this is the story of many people, and that's why I pray on it. And since 2017, I'm working on the courage to share more of my story, to be more vulnerable, so I can help more people. And I think I'm doing a great job. I'm getting better, and that's why I train a lot, because it's not easy to talk about these things. But when I talk about it, boy, does it feel good. It feels good to help people. It feels good to get it out, and it also feels good to share with people my deepest vulnerabilities, my insecurities, because I really don't want to be speaking about things that they're not meaningful for me, about money or things like that they're not important to me, especially right now. People will benefit more from the origin of my deepest insecurities, my weaknesses, my vulnerability, and it will give them hope that you can turn your life around. So it's not a death sentence and it's not permanent. So there's massive hope. So when I was going through these things when I was younger, and this is what affects a lot of people, and there's hope, listen to this story, it's true. When I used to feel like that, when my dad used to make me feel that way, and Bullies, and you know, other people as well, not just my dad, I would feel that, oh my God, I'm never going to change. I feel hopeless. I feel worthless. But it wasn't true. It was just it was a temporary experience that felt permanent. Years later, I'm living a blessed life. I'm doing a live stream now. The courage that it takes to be in a nice place like this, but I'm not seduced by these sorts of places because I've been in a mental hospital. I can be grateful anywhere and respect it. It's worth it to give back. And I remember at some point, somewhere in my psyche when I was younger, I was getting older, I thought, you know, one day I'm going to make the pain that I went through worth it. I'm going to change people's lives, share my story and put things right and find forgiveness towards my dad, other people. And that's the journey that I've been on, and it's pretty amazing. I also feel like I'm speaking up for all the kids that, you know, that I love, that I grew up with, you know, all the kids from my area, all my friends, and just great memories, actually fond memories, bringing those, all the past experiences from my childhood and bringing it out, sharing that energy. And people feel it, you guys and girls, you feel it with something when it's honest and it's true. And it's come from a lot of pain and also a lot of joy and gratitude. So I'm not in pain right now. I'm actually, as you can probably feel, really peaceful and grateful. And just reading your comments. Yeah. So the moral of the story is courage, you know what I mean? And that doesn't have to be with standing up to a bully, but that's the courage to face the fears that anybody can benefit from my story, because we all experience fear, and courage is unlimited, but it's going in and using it to do good. Oh, my battery's running low, what a shame. So that's why I've been able to go and do a lot of public talks. I've been scared doing them, but I've got the strength and the experience because of being bullied growing up and overcoming those fears over many, many years of experience and life experience and healing and learning. And of course, going into a boxing ring, I had the courage to go and do boxing even though I was terrified, because I had a lot of experience of dealing with bullying, standing up to bullies, and also having to heal and overcome the shame of many times where I didn't stand up for myself and I felt bad for it. It definitely made me stronger today. Yeah, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And you know, sometimes you've got to be broken down. I feel that with my faith, speaking for me, that God strengthened me through being broken down and building back up again. You know, and the more good you do, the stronger you get. I remember this story, right? Won't say the name, but there was a guy that went to my secondary school. He got bullied really badly. Actually, it made me upset. A lot of us got bullied, me included, but he got bullied bad, and he was a nice guy, good-looking guy, and I hadn't seen him for years. And I saw him many years later. I was out at a bar with a friend watching the boxing, and I didn't recognise him straight away. And this, you know, he's English, kind of Portuguese, and come and introduce himself. He's like, Jonathan, and I was like, oh, didn't remember you. He'd grown up, and then we met up a couple of times, you know, reunited. We went to school, and he was telling me that the bullying really affected him. You know, it made him, he had to get therapy and help. So it can really damage people, but you can come back from it. And all of the heroes that I like, you know, people like Tyson Fury, Joe Calzaghe, so many people, David Goggins, we've all got similar, common, with different people, of course, different journeys, but we all got bullied when we were younger, and we didn't let the bullying break us and become evil or nasty, but we built ourselves back up. So, you know, I think that's inspiring. So that's another story. I'm getting out as much of my story as I can, going into different parts of my life, because there's different stages that are relevant, and people can get different things at different times, and you can apply it to your life. All of you are smart, you'll do that. So this is just me being more vulnerable. So when I'm doing the hill runs, I love running up hills. When it gets tough, because my whole motivation is I want to help more people. I want to share my story, but I have to work hard to inspire people, and I enjoy my life. Sometimes I will go back to times where I was getting bullied. How did it make me feel? Am I going to give up? Absolutely not, and helping more people. And also, the strongest thing, and this is an ongoing thing that I'm still learning and I'm getting better at. It's not easy, but forgiveness, which comes in time, faith. Everyone's going to find their own way, healing. So having the courage and the strength to forgive, which I've done a lot, but it's been obviously, there's a lot to process. No, it definitely doesn't play on my mind every day because I've really healed from a lot of it. And when you've healed things because you can speak about them without getting nervous and getting angry and emotional. So when I speak about it now, I realise that I've overcome the bullying and I've healed from it. But for many years it did haunt me and it did affect me. And I always wanted, see, my understanding, I'm still learning about life and teaching and people and relationships and overcoming pain, is that when you can talk about something and not be ashamed and feel good the way I feel and not care what people think, and you want to help people and you feel very calm, you've really come a long way and healed it. Because I couldn't talk about this stuff, I could talk about it a little bit, but I couldn't go into this detail because I wasn't healed from it. It was still bothering me and hurting me. So no, it's not something that that bothers me. But as I said, if I need motivation and gratitude, I will find it in everything, things that I love, joy. And like I said, I had a really good upbringing as well. It wasn't just trauma and bullying. That's not accurate. There was a hell of a lot of love, good friends, good relationships, great experiences, with my dad, with family. I had many good friends at school, but I'm giving, obviously we've all got, we've got many sides to our story. I don't think anyone's life is just all bullying or all good. So different times, different experiences. But yeah, basically I wanted to share more of my story, of more people, inspire them, of where the origin of my courage come from. I think it's important and it helps me to teach more and simplifies and go over my values. So yeah, courage, courage is a beautiful thing. It's saved my life. It's helped me to help people, and it takes courage to forgive as well. A lot of this might inspire a lot of you. There was one particular guy who bullied me for many years around my area. I was terrified of him, and I was angry. I couldn't beat him. He beat me in a fight, and he bullied me, put knives to me. But many years later, this is a beautiful story. I should share it more. I won't say his name. I got stronger through boxing, and I was in a position where I could beat him up, and I felt like doing that, but I'd had enough character and empathy where I said, I'm not going to do that to him. I'm going to forgive him because I could beat him up, but if I beat him up, then it doesn't make me any better than him. And obviously he'd been through a lot growing up. I felt sorry for him. He's got a good heart deep down. And he come up to me and he was very, very respectful, and he was a bit scared of me. He was a bit nervous, and I shook his hand and basically communicated, that I love him. I've got nothing but love for him. I'm not going to hurt him. I've forgiven him for what he done to me. We all make mistakes. I've made mistakes, and we were good. We were always good. So that's a nice story. That's important that I share that. That's important. That's what my faith teaches me. But it was a long time to get there. And funny story. So that was nice. If you can solve a problem, especially between men, you can't get a more beautiful thing than that. There's no better story that I want to hear than two people actually finding genuine forgiveness. If it's possible to do that, I know it's not always possible. We need time. But yeah, that is a true story that I like to share. It gives a lot of people hope, especially people that might have bullied or been bullied. So that was good, and that boxing helped me to do that. So I didn't have to use violence. I didn't have to retaliate. I went away for a few years. The amateur boxing, they toughened me up, taught me how to fight, but also taught me to not be a bully, and it worked. We had a mutual friend. I was very close. My brother's friend, no, sorry, my best friend's brother was close with me, and he was a friend of the guy that used to bully me, and then, you know, we met, and I was able to, you know, straighten things out of him without having to get into a fight or hit him or hurt him in that way, which wouldn't have made me feel good. So that was a nice ending. Yeah, I could. Yeah, he was afraid. He was scared because and he was remorseful. So it was very easy for me to forgive him because I don't consider myself to be a bully. And if I ever bullied someone, then obviously would be sorry for that and have to pay the price. And you know, I couldn't do that to someone. And he was sorry, and we'd grown up, gotten older, and I felt bad, and I could have done it. And that's being the bigger man. It's better not to do it. Well, yeah, because, you know, when you bully someone, not only do you hurt that person, but years later, you hurt yourself. Your conscience kicks in, which is why it's, I guess that's why we all need forgiveness at some point. But at the same time, it's good to learn how to, and I help all my client today, how to stand up for yourself. And that doesn't always happen to mean having to have having a fist fight with someone. That means, you know, communicating. So yeah, I'm gonna share more stories. I'm still working on, I'm not quite getting there yet. I'm trying to do 10 hours of speaking in one day, and I'm still facing my fear of doing it because obviously I'm running a business, I'm training, sleeping, eating. So I'm gonna keep working out. I think I'm up to about 3 hours now, roughly a day with these streams and videos, and it's, the 3 hour mark is great. It gets a bit challenging, so it's getting past that threshold. But yeah, it makes me feel good that this will help a lot of people that are gonna, because I know a lot of people are going through this, and they might be feeling that they can't get past it, and you'll get the energy of my story, and hopefully it will help you to, you know, find your own way of getting past this and becoming a better person, rebuilding yourself. Because bullying breaks you down at first if you allow it to keep you broken, but if you come back stronger, be a better person, you actually get stronger because you've been broken down, you've been humiliated, you've been hurt, you've been insecure. It makes you understand life a bit more, and when you come back from that, you're stronger in a good way, not in insecurity. I understand that. This battery's going to go anytime. Wow, what a great day. I'm going to make a move now. So yeah, there's another story there. How long was that? Well, the time flies. A lot of stories, true events, so almost 40 minutes. I've got loads more I'm going to share on the channel with videos. I know a lot of people will like it. So the moral of the story is, for anyone listening, men and women of any age, it's not just about bullying, but it's basically about standing up to your own fears that bully you. We've all got our own fears and insecurities, so be brave, you know, start your business, go to the gym, help people, move forward. However big or small your fears are, it doesn't matter, because fear, you know, and that sort of bullying does the same thing. Stand up to it. Courage is infinite. It doesn't cost any money. You can't go on Amazon and buy it, but it's within every person. All right, we'll wrap it up as a story, and I like that story. You know, the hero and the coward and courage. Awesome.